Special good morning to our listeners, of course, of Classic Radio, the viewers of GBN TV. Good morning and welcome to today's edition of To The Point. I'm your host, GT. Say good morning to those of you also via our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels. Good morning to you folks, for all as well. Welcome to today's edition once again of To The Point. Of course, on today's program, we have with us, of course, I think it's no stranger to the program, right? No stranger to the program. We have, of course, Dr. John Angus, so there's this Angus Martin. Get all the names in there. I think the last time I had you on the program, you came to speak about in relation to a book.
Yes.
If I'm right about that.
Probably one of the books I was published.
But she was publishing.
Yeah.
That would bring in that bad.
Okay.
All right. So we also have with us also Mr. Joseph with us this morning.
Yes.
Welcome, sir, of course, and you representing, of course, the Division of Culture.
Yes.
Of course, and you are the documentation officer, if I'm right about that.
Correct.
I get all the accolades in it.
Yes,
I'm following the duel this morning. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, welcome. Nice to have you on the program. You know, it's an interesting conversation we're going to have this morning. You know, because sometimes folks get the feeling, we're losing that aspect of it, the traditions of Grenada. I just say it in a broad term before we get into the specific of the conversation this morning. But we're talking a whole lot about traditional mass this morning. And you know, if I'm to start a conversation like this, and I'm going to throw this out to Dr. Martin this morning, traditional mass, what sets apart traditional mass from modern, sometimes what we call, the bikini or the beads carnival.
The feathers. Don't forget the feathers.
Talk to me about that.
Right. I think when we say traditional mass, it means it's been going on for a while. It's something that we have a tradition of doing. It dates back, in many cases, over half a century, at least. When we think of Jab, that's over 100 years that we can actually, it's probably more, but what we have data for. That we're talking about masquerades that developed in the late 1800s, possibly. And they've continually changed. That's the thing. Even though we call them traditional and we have names for them specifically, they've actually changed over time. And if you look at the aspects of them, you can see it's like any other tradition we have. If you think of oil dung, it changed from what your grandmother used to make. But nonetheless, we still call it oil dung
today, and compared to what I know maybe 20 years or 25 years ago.
Exactly. But for us, the symbolism and everything is maintained and it's carried forward. And I think that's the thing. That's why these things are dear to us, because they're part of our identity, who we are. And everybody can have these memories of them that really cement us in what that Grenadianness is.
Yes.
So I think that's why when we say traditional mass, everybody, you could see that smile on your face, because we all have memories of that, and possibly even our participation in it. And for a lot of us, it might be just being a spectator. But nonetheless, as a little kid, we have that memory because we remember seeing that jab, that short, need that throw powder, and we're afraid, that kind of thing. So I think
coming down Market Hill.
Exactly. And you're like, where could I run? So I think for all of us, that's what these traditions evoke, that memory of youth, of growing up, of the first time you played it. So I think, and that's why we hold them so dear, and we don't want to lose them.
All right. Let me ask you this. I mean, one of you who have gone into the depth of the history of our culture, sir. What is that historical origin of, other characters like, let me talk about the shortney, the jab, as you mentioned, and the vehicle. Talk to me about that. Roll through the history of that for me, sir.
Right. I think sometimes what we think is history is actually our interpretation of it.
Okay.
What it means to us, which is totally valid. If you say that this is what I feel like when I play this masquerade, that's yours.
All right.
It's like a piece of art. The artist draws it, and people start saying, this is what I see.
Yeah.
You can't tell them that's not what I see. So I think there's what most people think is history is really interpretation.
Okay.
And what I try to do is actually find as many references as far back as possible to any of these masquerades. And we don't have many. That's the thing. Okay. We never recorded.
Okay.
The earliest photographic I have been able to locate of Jab. We have some of Jab as we know it today is 1961. That we actually have an image.
Okay.
We have other images that go back to the 30s, 40s, 50s that kind of like that's Jab, but it doesn't look anything like what we think of Jab.
Okay.
That kind of thing. So as a historian, I am trying to find references. So you talk to people who has played it, or they could tell you, I remember my grandfather playing it, so you get an idea of what date it is. But a lot of it, we only have one person that actually wrote something. In 1990, a lady by Nellie Payne, name of Nellie Payne, she wrote an article of of Carnival in the 1920s when she was a little girl.
All right.
So she goes through a lot of these, and it's things that are no longer here. So even sometimes when we talk about traditional mass, there are lots of them that have dropped off along the way. That's what we end up with. Surprisingly, Grenada has more of these traditional masquerades than possibly any of the other islands.
Okay.
So we maintain a diversity. Most islands have one or two for the most, but we've maintained probably like 6 of them, and there are aspects of some of them that they're on the verge of disappearing. When you look at Maypole and used to be dance at Carnival, you don't see that anymore.
Even the Wild Indian is because minimum as possible.
Exactly. So I think we see Jab Jab as just like totally boom. Jab Jab used to be on in the 60s and stuff, early 70s used to be on the periphery, but now it's the thing.
Yeah.
So these things go through different changes and over the years, and assume as our society changes. I think different things in our society, when you look at Jab Jab, the politics of our society influenced Jab Jab in the 70s. Jab Jab became the protest as we know it today. Because it was banned, and people decided hell no, and they pushed back against that, and it took on a very political tone with what was going on in 1970s Grenada, with as some people referred to the crisis in 1974. So Jab Jab was all part of that, that protest against the government and things like that, and you see this in different stages of our history, how Carnival is a reflection of our society. So whatever is going on in our society would be reflected in some of the changes that take place.
All right, good. I'm happy that with that particular explanation you give. I also want to ask you, how did traditional mass serve as a form of, social commentary? You did mention, it used as a form of protest back then when you said it was banned and stuff like that, or in a way of resistance during, especially and after, the colonial era. Talk to me about that.
Sure. I think it's hard for us to imagine what's in the minds of the people playing it, but you can definitely get the idea that Carnival is a turning of upside down. It's an opportunity for you to do something and get away with whatever.
All right.
Like I said, there was a lot of violent interactions between different groups. They said Carnival was payback time. You go and hit somebody in Carnival, you're not going to get arrested because it's Carnival. So I think Carnival allowed people an opportunity to express things, men dressing up as women, peasants dressing up as kings. And that is a common thing to Carnival in general across the world. It gives you an opportunity to basically turn the society upside down.
And get away with it. Because you're allowed, And I think the church... Carnival, remember, we don't associate Carnival with the church anymore. Yeah. But Carnival, the church allowed that. Okay.
It allowed you to participate in the sins of the flesh right before you entered that period of penitence for Lent. Get rid of that bad stuff. Let's be good for this period, kind of thing. And that, I think, is the basis of Carnival, and that's why it's always been about protest. It's and a subtle protest sometimes. Sometimes you didn't have to go there and beat anybody on the head, but you came out there with your costume and you made people think. And I think sometimes we need to think of Carnival performers, masqueraders, as artists.
Yeah.
They come out there with a costume and they want to impress you. They want you to remember them.
And they put it all into it too.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you would say long time Carnival, these guys would play the same masquerade every year. They just improved on it. They added new things to it and sometimes these masquerades became known by these individuals.
So true.
Because for them it was about the performance. It's street theater.
Yeah.
Street theater at its best. People get a stage. You get, the audience is just there waiting for you to show up. Yeah.
So let's talk about how the characters have evolved over the years. So, you know, specific archives out there. You spoke about sometimes especially pictures of Jab that you mentioned are minimal in terms of what you can see, how far you can go back and have one.
Right.
Talk to me about the oral historic, of course, highlights, you know,
Right.
and how these characters have evolved.
Right.
Of course, in, you know, over, let's say, the last century or so.
Right. The archives are limited.
Yeah.
So we do rely on conversations, oral history. And oral history memory is not the best always. Memory can be selective, and so can the archives in general, but nonetheless, when it's written, it's written.
Yeah.
It's wrong or right, but it's written. So we have something to say, we have something to start with. With oral history, it's about memory. It's about, and you know how that memory works sometimes. But it is important that we have that memory, because that's sometimes all we have. So you combine that with whatever written sources you might be able to find, because sometimes things end up in newspapers, especially something bad happened. If there was a fight, it's going to be in a newspaper, and they might mention something, so you read between the lines. So it allows you to get an idea of what was going on at different times. We have this one article that was published in 1917 of a carnival in 1911 up in Sotez, and it's a clash between Samaritan and Sotez, and I'm talking clash. Police running and everything. Big stone all over the place. I mean, like a real house breakdown. They break down a little shack on the side of the road and stuff. Yeah. There used to be real clashes. And in that article, the guy mentions, and he was just a visitor here, and he took a few pictures actually. And he mentions that, that other masquerade where they go around dirtying people, they banned it. And that's like the first reference we have of Jab in Grenada.
Okay.
You know, so you have to kind of read between the lines, and then that will now set us off to go look for something else, kind of thing. So the limited archives we're working with, and in some cases we look to Trinidad. Trinidad have a better archive, even though it's also limited. But because we know the close relationship between Grenada and Trinidad, because a lot of Trinidad's carnival originates in Grenada.
Okay.
But also we have Grenadians constantly coming back and bringing back as well. So I express a relationship between Trinidad and Grenada when it comes to carnival is teeth from teeth make God laugh.
I like the way you put that. Gentlemen, we do for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks, to the Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. We'll be right back after the short break. Don't touch it out. Our people.
The Ministry of Agriculture White Potato Production Initiative is an OECS sub-regional project aimed at reducing Grenada's reliance on imported white potatoes, which in 2025 had an imported value of over 4.5 million EC dollars. The White Potato Production Initiative is part of the Ministry of Agriculture's food security drive and is being undertaken with the simultaneous cultivation of other crops such as sweet potatoes, pineapples, coconuts, carrots, and other vegetables. Other OECS countries like Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines are already at an advanced stage in white potato production, with Dominica completely cutting the import of white potatoes during the first quarter of 2026. Grenada is now preparing to advance production for better output in 2027. The Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, ensuring food and nutrition security for all.
Inviting all who missed the performances of Lucy's Straw Hat, as well as all who are visiting for the Diaspora Homecoming. Come out and enjoy the final staging of this spectacular piece of Grenadian theatre on Friday, 26th June, 7 p.m. at the Gateway Conference Hall at Point Salines.
I'm tired of cuckoo and flying fish.
Well, I'm going to take the flying fish wings and stick it in the cuckoo and call it flying cuckoo and fish.
Lucy's Straw Hat, a moving drama written and directed by Christy Riggs and inspired by the mysterious disappearance of the Island Queen schooner.
She must be a doctor someday.
Does she want it badly?
She wants it badly.
You're developing a criminal mind. Rich man, he'll make him sign for you.
Lucy's Straw Hat. Admission $75. Tickets available at GoToFet or at the door.
We Island Queen Gold, the mystery of the island.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again. Gentlemen, welcome back to our listeners and viewers once again. We're talking traditional mass this morning. And of course, Dr. Martin did go through some information this morning that suddenly grabbed my interest a whole lot. Something I'd like to hear when you talk about, the history of Carnival, and not the history of Grenada in general. Always to spur my interest. I'm someone who always interested in that. Never took the time out to pay attention to it in school, though, for some reason. But when I hear it now, it grabs my interest. And so then, maybe I should have given more attention back then. Other things take up your mind.
For sure.
Let me talk to you. Of course, you've been the documentation officer. What does that day-to-day work look like for you in terms of archiving, traditional mass?
Right. So I would say this is I wouldn't say the start of it, but the start of really getting more involved in documenting it, right? Because before we had, a lot of cases where let's say Carnival, that passed. We and as the mass is evolving, we tend to have something documented, let's say, from the past 10 years or so, and not really updated in time. So with this now, this is the reason for even this venture that we have this program in place now, where we meet the communities. So this is a way of getting more information. So in terms of documentation, we could get it from the source, much easier from the source, whereas on just relying on, let's see, information that was there 10 years ago. So this is a perfect opportunity now where we meet the community and we can get from practitioners. We can even get, let's say, anything that they have, materials or so. Pieces of costume, how the costumes used to look before. How the chants used to be, let's say short knee. How the chant used to be before opposed to today. So this is the perfect opportunity now where we can update, upgrade, and stay in the know, basically. So,
what is the biggest challenge you have, are you faced with, say, in terms of capturing that oral, tradition and the performance of that isn't written down? What is that big challenge you're having in reference to that?
Yes, it is quite a challenge in getting it, because persons that, let's see, if you're dealing with one of the traditional mass, that is, I don't want to say dying. It is not so prevalent now. You have practitioners, I would say, passing on with the information. They may die or so, and then you don't get that type of information. You don't get it, let's say, back then, how it used to be. So the problem could be is time, I would say, time. You don't get enough time to capture what was there before opposed to now. So going out, the one of the problems is going out. We don't have a big team where we can go out to really interview persons, and time is the biggest thing for us. Time, I would say, in capturing the oral traditions.
Let me just add, Devon, as totally in support of all of that, but I think for me the key thing is we don't have a place to store all of this. And if you don't have a place to store it, it disappears, it gets lost. And that's been the issue. We've recorded things over the years, because what happened when we lost Radio Grenada, when that was bombed. We lost a massive amount of cultural data.
Hurricane
Ivan. So the thing is, we need to think, when we talk about climate change, we talk about hurricanes, it's like our culture heritage disappears as well. We tend to not think of it because we have more immediate. But we really need to figure out, when this show that we're doing right now, do we want to preserve that? because it has cultural data.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that 20 years from now, somebody could come and say, hey, they were talking about Moko Jumbi or whatever. What is it? What did they say? But if we don't have that, there's nothing to go by. So I am hoping that if people had preserved more, there's more that I would find.
So true.
So I think for me, it is the archives that's essential.
Yeah. And not just to add to what Angus is saying, in the interest of having an archive. An archive is just not just an archive, but the proper conditions, the proper equipment in terms of archiving these information. So we have time against us, and we have basically the proper housing of the information that we need. So these are the two main challenges, I would say. Time and place.
Well, and you preempted my next question, because I was going to ask, how is the division of culture, using, the digital tools out there that's available now, the video and the audio to keep, these records alive for future generations.
Yeah.
How are they keeping that? How are you planning on doing that?
Right. So, well, at this point, we have to do a lot of, I would say, scanning and converting digitally.
Yes.
So basically, this is what we need to do. This is what we're in the process of getting done. Yeah. So storage, that's why I mentioned the proper storage area, proper place. So we have a lot of that. A lot of information we need to basically go through. Yeah. Because the documentation method before, opposed to now, as you see, the digital era is totally different.
And it could be a little better now.
Yes.
Knowing that the digital age that we are in.
Yes.
Where you could have things stored in the cloud, so you don't necessarily need to have that physical storage.
Exactly.
And it could be accessed in time to come.
Exactly.
So I could say the era is kind of promising to a point.
Yes. Much more better.
Now, can members of the public access these particular archives, and how can they contribute their own family photos and stories, just in case? Suppose I have some photos of my dad playing a jab back then.
Right.
How can the general public, access those things?
All right. So this is currently what we're working on is creating a space where the general public can access all this information. So this is it's in the process going forward. Okay. And if anybody wants to share anything, then they can contact the ministry. We have a page. We have that we're really trying to get even more active now. Mm-hmm. But in terms of a space where you can find everything, you wouldn't find everything right now. So this is the reason for the digital era, where we transforming everything digitally, so it's easily accessible to the.
But would have happy to that if your work was not have been so taken up for you, in terms of having the information in relation to the past traditional mass and events that happened? If it was more kept, not only kept alive in terms of the physical thing about it, but the information about it. Because you said a lot of people have passed and left it on. Somehow their sons and daughters may have cared less.
Mm-hmm. Like with anything.
Oh, my dad used to play jab, but I had my jam in my life. That wasn't my thing. Or my brother was a Moko Jumbi, but you could care less. Would you have felt better if the information was more readily available and open to share? Would you have felt a whole lot better about that?
Well, I think one of the things the Ministry of Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture is actually working on is spearheading the creation of a national cultural archives. Because we recognize the absence. Because when you're looking for data, if you call up somebody and said, hey, could you give me the history and so, they're going to be like, we ain't got nothing. So the idea is that all of this thing has to be in a place, either electronic or whatever the case is. Some of it will be hard copies, books and things that were published on Grenada about the history and culture. We just need to have a space where you can go and access that, where a young person doing research, maybe there's they have found out that their grandfather did some kind of masquerade and they want to find out about it. There's a place they can go. Or somebody just some artist wants to do something on a specific masquerade, and they're like, but I need information. Where do I go? So I think that's what we are trying to create, that this is the project that we're doing right now is only one aspect of it. Okay. That we have to engage with the practitioners. We want to discuss what they know about it, share what we know about it, and create this dialogue, because that's really how this stuff works. Because we can't just do our stuff in isolation and do our research, because our research is part of the ongoing. Culture is what's in front of us, what's there. So we working with that and capturing that as well as we move forward.
You keep speaking about the project. So I want to get that project. Let's talk about the project. What is going on with that particular project? I'll let spill some dirt this morning.
Yeah, so it's called Traditional Mass Talk.
Yeah.
So this program was developed by the Ministry of Culture to really and truly it's both ways, to target the community and the practitioners of traditional mass.
Okay.
It works hand in hand for both parties. So we get our form of documentation, and the practitioners and the community get their opportunity to come out, to be a part of it, to give their experience, to share their ills, to share their joys, to basically just give us an idea of what they go through on a yearly basis, to bring out a mass band, and to maintain it, what they would like to see changed, how they can get help, and just to sensitize the public on the history, the origin, everything pertaining to do with the mass, because this is designed in a way where we would have that particular mass that is unique to that said parish. For instance, Guav, Mogojombi, we have St. Max, the Veco is unique to St. Max, the Jab obviously Grenville, Labi.
The Jab is like everybody know, right?
Everybody know. Everybody. So we try to do it in a way that it's per parish, unique to the parish. We had Shortney in St. Patrick's.
Yes.
That was Tuesday. Caracou would be Shakespeare Mass, of course. So we want to make sure we go in the communities and meet the people. Let us listen, let us understand. Because we have, and I think that would also help us in going forward to have more Grenadians having one history about the mass. And when I say one history, let me explain. I mean, let's say for instance you ask a Grenadian, where does Jab come from? What is Jab? You ask 5 persons that said question, you will get 5 different definitions.
So true. You are so correct. That's so correct.
So this program So this program is also targeted for that. We're trying to go ahead with one voice. So this is where the Ministry of Culture, we have Cultural Foundation on board, we have Spice Mass on board, and GTA. So we're trying to forge forward with one voice, collecting all information, having an open forum, come and give your input, what it was like, what it is.
Where have it started so far? How have it started? Where have you started so far? Is it the Mogojom, the initial stages of it? Where has it started so far?
Okay, the Shortney, we did the Shortney, it's Tuesday?
Monday,
actually, sorry. Sorry. We did it Monday. So we started off in St. Patrick's.
What was the feedback like in relation to that?
Right. So the feedback was great. Everybody welcomed that. Because they like the fact that we actually meeting them at their point, the community. So it's an opportunity where, they don't normally get much
that kind of attention
and that kind of discussion. Right, I should say. Most of the time they have to go out to meet, where they invited to a meeting, they have to, let's say Spice must invite them to a meeting or whoever else. They go, but this time we're going to listen.
Carnival most of the time.
Most of the time it's just, relating to Carnival and XYZ. But this time we want to listen. Let us hear from you. Give us your experience. Let us know your challenges, what it takes to make a costume. Let the public know, not just the Ministry of Culture and Spice, but you're not talking to us, you're talking to the nation. So we can have a better respect. The nation would have a better respect when they see a Shortney coming down the road, a better respect when they see a Mogojombi, a Veco, a better understanding, and kids can say, hey, this is Mogojombi. It came from XYZ, it is played XYZ. You can ask somebody else, we say the same thing. You get the same information.
Can I speak in on a one voice? But
we share information with them. For example, one of the things that we shared was a photograph from 1900 showing people with the pants at their knee, and because we didn't really have a reference to when they started wearing that. and this was a picture from Guelph Carnival in around 1900, and there these guys, and it were stick fighters. They had their sticks in their hand and they were whacking each other over the head and stuff. Because that's what stick fighters do. But it captures, it says so much that we know around 1900, which is pretty far back. We're talking over 125 years ago. This photograph shows us that kind of thing. So it's powerful for them to see it as well. So they can recognize, wow, I didn't realize, I know my grandfather, but this goes back pretty far. So I think things like that. Or we had a recording that was done in 1962 of a Shortney chant. It's probably the first recording that we actually have of one that's available. And the boast and stuff that these guys against each other kind of thing, competing. So I think when they hear these things and they recognize that these things are out there, it gives them a different sense of their own history. Because in a lot of cases, these things are hidden somewhere, and unless you go looking for it, it's just going to sit there.
How do you both feel about in reference to it? And you mentioned the traditional mass, which seems to have losing its ground just a wee bit. You look at Carnival over the last 15 years. You see minimal participation in terms of what we call typically the old mass in terms of the streets of St. George or even other parishes. And it's now been dominated by the jab and stuff. You understand? Which to me has, in my personal feel, I think it has lost its core values about just everyone just comes out and dirty themselves up and sense when they play in a mass. You understand? How do you guys feel about how we could get that reinstated back into what the real carnivals used to be about? Is that even possible?
So here's my take on culture changes all the time.
Yes.
Culture is not stagnant. Like when people use the word authentic, I look at them funny. There is nothing authentic about anything because authenticity is only in time. Today it's one thing, tomorrow it's another.
I agree.
So unique, yes. I think things change because our society changed. We're in a different place than we were in the 70s, in the 80s, and the 90s, and we react to that, and that's why these things change. Spice Mass is big now. Jab is on the world stage. That is a result of our change in society and what that means. So I don't think there is a going back, but I think we can create spaces where we allow for one of the things that we talked about with the Shortney is that nobody hears their chants when they spend so much time because the music, the loud DJ stuff totally grounds them out. We need to think about creating a space where they can perform and everybody is aware of the thing that they put their time into to create these chants. And when you listen to some of them, you realize that there's probably the origin of our calypso. So they're bringing that history to us, but we're not even hearing it because the DJ's trucks are just totally taken over. So we need to figure out how do we create these spaces where these things can still perform, because they're going to get tired if you're not going to be able to hear their song. Why would they even create them? So they end up losing. When you look at, did you know that Veco used to actually make up chants as well too?
I heard that.
Yeah, but now they don't, and maybe why we probably could figure out why they no longer do that. They actually, it's pretty cool what they do now.
Yeah, I mean the younger version of me would remember Shortney. And you actually go listen to what they were chanting about.
Yeah,
I mean the trucks and it was at a minimal level to what it is now, so you could actually hear what they were chanting about. It was interesting to what they were chanting about.
And with the Shakespeare Mass, the same thing. They've been mic'd.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to think about micing people. The technology is there, because mics are so easy now. So maybe we need to consider micing the Shortney folks so that we could actually hear them and put that on the boombox.
You want to chime in?
Yes, and I would say is integration, because we take for granted, let's say, a jab 10 years ago, 20 years ago, a player today who is just interested in jab or playing jab, they wouldn't know about the chants.
Yeah.
They know about the DJ, the trucks on the road. So I think it's the integration of technology, as Angus was saying, a mic up, but also allowing people to understand the origin, the history. So you know exactly where it came from. You know exactly how it used to be played. So somebody who's interested, who have a new interest or so, would understand what they're getting into. What is being what is on the platform, basically.
And
as
the
we
process
say,
you go through from where to get to
exactly.
Yeah, appreciate that history.
Yeah. And as Angus was saying, if it is that we have to mic up when the traditional mass band is coming through, that the trucks may have to just cut the music, mic up the players, and we could hear the chants, understand it. I mean, it might be a challenge.
Use their speakers.
Exactly. Use their speakers. So.
I mean, I think all it takes is a conversation with everyone. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
I think that's where the downfall comes. We want everybody to do their own thing.
Yeah.
And if you have a conversation, hey, I think when the shorten is coming with like the whatever need to tap into that sound system so we can hear it.
Yeah.
As much as they hear in the particular soca song.
Right.
Exactly.
They should hear that.
For sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Respect these guys.
Exactly. Let's take a break. We come back with the conversation some more. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. Don't touch it down.
Renovating your home or business? Why not use clean, renewable energy? Install solar panels to power your home and office and see your energy costs go down and your savings go up. Using renewable solar-powered energy protects our environment, reduces our carbon footprint, and slows the devastating impact of climate change. Republic Bank can help to finance construction and renovations that make use of renewable energy. Visit any Republic Bank branch and ask about renewable energy financing options today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
GVN Massology is back. We're officially on the road to spice up the Carronade 3.0, and it all starts here. Live from GVN Studios every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Streaming across GVN platforms, bringing pure energy, culture, and spice man's vibes straight to your screen. Hosted by Charlton, powered by Graphic Sound System, featuring fresh faces and seasoned stars. Massology is what the culture takes center stage. WhatsApp 407-8458 now to secure your spot on Massology. And don't miss the repeat broadcast at 8:30 p.m. This is Massology, the heartbeat of Spice Mass. Don't miss it. Emancipation Weekend, Freedom Takes the Sea. The Media Workers Association of Grenada invites you aboard Unscripted, the Freedom Edition, Friday, July 31st. Step into an unforgettable night of music, vibes, culture, and connection aboard the ultimate summer cruise experience. Meet your favorite media personalities, party under the stars, and celebrate freedom the unscripted way aboard the Ecstasy. Boarding is at 7 p.m., sailing at 8 p.m. Dress code Freedom Chic, bold, stylish, unapologetically you. Tickets are limited and going fast. Get your tickets online at GoToFet and at recognized ticket outlets. Unscripted, the Freedom Edition, because the best stories are the ones you never planned. Say good morning once again and welcome back to our listeners and viewers. We're moving up to 20 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour. Don't forget, we wrap this program up at 10 a.m. this morning. Dr. Martin, I want to ask one other question before we, of course, talk a little bit more about what's happening tomorrow. Mm-hmm. From a historical view, sir, is the commercialization of Carnival threatening
the survival of the deep-rooted tradition? Let me ask you that question.
I think on the face of it, you would say yes, but again, it's change. Our society is changing. We're trying to move with the times in a way. We want to incorporate other people, visitors who want to participate in it. So yes, it is a commercialization, but it's up to us to actually control that commercialization, how we want it to see. I think Spice Mars is unique because of this traditional masquerade. That's what we have.
Yeah.
We have these unique elements. We need to protect them. We need to protect them from the commercialization, or be able to work with them. Like I said, use technology to make it relevant, more relevant to today, because otherwise they're going to disappear as we know them. And when we look at we talked about briefly about the maypole. Like I said, as a little kid, maypole used to be danced by men. There was even a guy dressed as a woman, as a queen.
Okay.
And that's gone.
Yeah.
And maypole today, again, it has changed, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad change. We change. But we need to figure out ways to protect as much as we can if we want to see these things in the future, if we want to share these things with our kids and grandkids. We have to take a conscious effort now, because our society is bombarded from everywhere. The internet, television, all of those things are coming from different places, and it supplants our own traditional practices. And it's not just carnival, but it's all other elements. There's a constant exchange of ideas and costuming and everything, but if there's something that we say, this is good, this is us, this tells who we are to the rest of the world, we need to make these efforts to protect it. We need to create an archive so that we can store that information, so that when a young person reads about it and they're like, wow, I didn't know we did this, and they decide to come up and make their own costume in. I think for me, looking at the VECO is one of the coolest things, because I think they have been the most creative in the way, and they incorporated young people on a scale that some of the others have not been able to do.
And they're holding on to the tradition of it.
Totally. And people might think, and VECO, again, we'll invite people to when we actually do the presentation, but VECO is just over 50 years, 60 years old.
Okay.
People think it goes back further than that, but we actually have a really good history of VECO as we know it today. And the creativity that comes out of that, to me, just really surprises me sometimes. And I think we need to support that. We need to find ways of making sure that those individuals get the necessary resources that they need to keep that going.
Mr. Joe, I want to ask you this. What community-based or school program is a division, running to teach, the younger generation the craft of making traditional costumes?
Right, well, there isn't any program from the ministries in place that can speak to that, but it's a good idea, and it's something we can definitely put resources together.
I like to charge up ideas.
Well, actually, that is actually something that has come up recently with the Cultural Foundation.
Yeah.
The idea that we really need to be teaching these, because we don't have the natural, organic transmission in communities and things like that. You learn it from your father, you learn it from your mother, you learn whatever.
Yes.
That is not there anymore. So we need to look at the schools as well.
Exactly.
And bring these practitioners into the school area to let them talk about their craft and things like that.
If you look at it, most time you see the participants in traditional mass, they are very rare from, St. George's or even St. Andrew, more of the rural parishes, where the technology seem not to dominate on them that much.
Right.
They are the ones that seem to gravitate to these traditional mass more. So I mean that's why I came up with the question about teaching.
Yes.
Want to get that entrenched in their mind so that they can say, this is something I want to be part of in time to come. So we don't lose that particular tradition. So what's happening tomorrow more about the activity? If we could share some of that, some light to that in terms of the Moko Jumbi. What's really happening tomorrow?
Right. So the event is going to take place at the Anglican School in Guave, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So we have it's more a panel discussion.
All right.
Open discussion. So we're inviting the entire community, and not just the community, but the I would say main persons around, like for instance, the committees.
Yeah.
Within the community also, we're inviting everybody. So we want to highlight Moko Jombi. We have a panel of 5 persons, practitioners, and persons who just been around it. So we have a diverse panel, not just practitioners or let's say persons who are experts or just a person who are designers.
Yeah.
So we have persons that are involved on all the different levels so they can give their input. So, and this is really targeted as we speak, and it's really targeted for information, correct information, so people can understand. And you said a good thing about the schools, getting the schools involved. So we want the young persons to come out. We're inviting the young persons also, so they can come out and have a general understanding of what it takes to make the costume, what it takes to balance on the stills, what it takes to really understand the energy you need to be on top there. Tenacity. I mean, it looks simple, but it's not that easy. And not just what it takes to perform, but the business side of it also. Because we have lots of, and this discussion is open also for that. We have lots of traditional mass band players who would complain about sponsorship. They want to introduce themselves more on a wider scale, but they are limited because of financial constraints.
Is it consistency is a problem with that too, right?
Yes. So
Sure.
all of this is an open conversation where we can hear from the band leaders, the community. What are your challenges? What would you like to see in the next 10 years? What would you expect from the stakeholders? Everything. Preservation methods. We want to hear from you. So it's a learning experience on all ends. So tomorrow, God's will, go off, as I say, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. All is invited. And we have Dr. Martin here also to give his input on the little historical part of it.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's a holistic something that we're really trying to have continued. And we don't just want to do it this year.
Okay.
We want to have an open discussion every year, because as we discuss, the traditional mass is evolving. So what you might see this year, you might see something introduced new come next year. Example, the VECO.
I mean, I want to take up on that because you said this year and next year. I hope it could be something that could be ongoing throughout the year.
Yes.
It may not have to happen every week.
Right.
Maybe not every month. But on a consistent level still.
Yes.
That keep people's mind entrenched in it always.
Right. Keep ideas going.
Keep ideas going. Because you never know, there could be that youngster. You know how the youngsters think these days. They could probably come up with an idea with...
totally.
Exactly.
That could just have... We could have a total revamping of how these things occur right now. You understand?
Yeah, they could come with an idea that makes you like, wait, I
we
like
could have
that.
done it this way.
Yeah,
It could be done this way.
You know, preservation and things like that. Because they know the technology. They're learning things that some of us didn't have access to back in the day, but now we do. So they might be like, wait, we could do this. We could do an app for that.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know. So with the conversation tomorrow, would it be live streamed or anything, or just within the community for now as it stands?
It will be recorded definitely, and for playback, but also we're hoping that it should be live stream. I think that's the we have GIS is going to be doing that. Yes. Yeah, and we're just saying that next week we actually have 3 other events scheduled. We have shortening, we have Shakespeare Mass in Carriacou, VECO in St. Mark's, and where we combine Maypole and Wild Indian and stuff, and we're going to be doing that in St. David's in Corinth. So
we're going to give our audience an opportunity to chime in on the conversation this morning. We have the 10 minutes before we take a wrap for today, and I'm sure the audience would like me to ask questions or maybe have suggestions themselves that they could throw out.
Sure.
435-2041. You have double options of calling in. We have the WhatsApp and the direct line. We go to the phone line for our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning, gentlemen. Morning.
Good morning to you, sir. And I beg of you to be brief, please.
In the job. Wasn't job. It was to be. It's what job was. Not job is to call it the right name. The personal. Yay, they call it yay. Was in the days gone. That was the name of it. Yay, they had. Now, it could be about 3 or 4 men, or at least 5 sometimes. They have a big book, and they have a small group where they make they make a little doll with some flower and everything inside it. But you pay to see them things in any case, and they make you read for you. They used to make you spell certain word. And if you can't spell it, they get a lick across your back with a whip. And say, I send the school along, you can't spell this, you can't spell that. But they can spell them, but just time as kicks and all the prove the game are more exciting than thing in any case, you know. But when job now get too lawless, man. Children so shame, afraid to hear and thing, you know. When children say, here they to run. Children went by the mother back bus man, because he wasn't looking, the men had long nail and thing, the mother red and the black and thing. But they was dirty all about the place like that. Job now if I get to lawless. Dirty all the whole street with tar and all kind of old garbage and thing, dirty all the seacoast and thing with all the waste from after carnival. And we go and living afterwards and thing. It's time that we get, I tell them in the past, get a black jersey and a black pants and plain jersey. Get a blue pants and a blue jersey and we play the mask kind of nice. We got your face a little bit, but the whole body tar all over the place and you know, the skating and the road and thing. And you want to leave it afterwards. If you want to know about the song, about the shot in the past time gone by, get them band leaders who play shot in the past years gone by and let them give some song. These are some nice songs, you know. About politics and different things. There's anything happening in the committee, they sing about it, but I mean, we'll keep record, any problem. But if you get back
Cole, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much. I know you could go along for the entire morning, but we will cover it all. Thank you a whole lot. Thanks a whole lot.
Job.
All right, man. Thank you. All right, and then the caller went back there, touched some history there. Huh? Let's grab another caller. What's up, caller? You're live. Good morning and welcome.
Morning.
Good morning to you. Go right ahead, please.
Very good program. I just want to clear the air and rectify something. The gentleman make a statement stating that I'm from St. Mark's, and I'm in my 70s. And the gentleman make a statement that vehicles start just over 50 years. And that is not too accurate, you understand? Because when I was a youth, when I was 8 years, there was a lot of vehicles. So that means vehicles since about 90 years ago. So I just want to tell him, you understand, just go back and do a little research because I'm a St. Maxian and I'm in my 70s and that is the situation. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. Maybe you want to...
yeah, sure. I appreciate your comment. What I was specifically referring to is VECO as we know it today. VECO, as you're right, that has gone back to probably the 40s. Actually, in Victoria, they didn't celebrate Juve morning. They celebrate VECO morning.
Yeah.
They didn't call it Juve. They call it VECO. So he's right in that it went back before, but I was specifically referring to the emergence of VECO as we know it today, the specific costuming that we do. We actually could trace it to the 60s. The mid-60s and some of the helmets and things like that, because we actually have interviewed individuals who were participating at that time and talk about it in that way. Mr. Pele Dabo is one of them that we've interviewed and able to relate it. But no, he's definitely right in that the VECO and the naming of it goes back into the 50s, probably even maybe even the 40s.
Okay, great. We do have another caller. Caller live. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford.
Good morning, sir.
And greetings to your guests. A very, very important conversation. I reckon that a conversation like this has to continue, albeit late, but very essential. A couple of observations here, Mr. Martin, sir. That comment made by that gentleman, because I'm a 75-year-old old-timer too, 75-year-old timer too. And I recall very well soon after Hurricane Janet and so on, VECO, as we know, it was in full swing. But you know something, Mr. Martin, first. Can you spell that word, quote-unquote, as we say, VECO? Can you spell it for us? You see, apart from that, it used to be spelled one way back then, but no, it seems to be spelled in a different way. And being blind. Can you quickly, and let me do the other part? Hello?
The spelling we're using right now is VYEKO, because some of the other spellings that we have, I think the problem comes from the fact that we spoke oral language. The patois we spoke was oral, so nothing was written down. So when it came time to actually start referencing and the written thing, we came up with words that sounded like what it possibly can be. The Veko as in dead body or old body, we use a number of them, but it actually, the Veko may actually refer to a different thing, actually is the old yard. Which where people practice these masquerades. One of the things I
wanted to clarify the meaning, the significance. But anyway, I laud and applaud your efforts and so on, so we can document or aspects related to our traditional and cultural folkloric activities. An important thing, and again, late but very important, about the documentation. We ought to be extremely, let me round up quickly, ought to be extremely careful here. Because if we're going to document jab, this perverse demon summoning activities that was loose in this here country since after 1971-72, that many people don't seem to understand when this in the current manifestation really started. I think you made mention of that. You have to stress that, Mr. Martin. People believe that they even tell us that jab related to our historical days or ancestral historical days on the plantation, which is total bunkum. So I'm happy you're doing that. I wish you well along. But let's get it straight so that the people in the future, or young people and the people abroad, don't have this perverse interpretation of the Grenadian people through these demon summoning activities. We'll talk more about it next time. Give somebody else a chance. For what it's worth, do have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Hello.
What's up?
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. Go right ahead,
Good morning to GT and to your esteemed guests. Now, I'll try and be as quickly as possible. The first thing I want to ask, the relationship between Carnival and the evolution of folk songs. Is there any song that came out from Carnival that emerged as a folk song? That's one. The other one is, did our Mardi Gras, did Carnival... did Mardi Gras got its name from the activity that was taking place in that area of Grenada? And there are also on the point, there are individuals that who have gone beyond, who maybe totally forgotten. People like Gifford St. Paul's from Goa, who was a person who was a fisherman and so on, and he always do costume, although in an individual capacity on an annual basis. He's gone and probably forgotten. Can we find a way to make sure that something is written or something is known about these people? Similarly, the same thing as with the Wilfred Melody, Baptiste, OMD. There's annual activity in his name, but you can't find no portrait of Melody or even Papita. I'm more interested in Melody because of what he means to me in terms of my involvement in the art form. Finally, I would say, I don't think people are serious in this country because many years ago, I brought a group of young people to the opening of the Children's Carnival Frolic. And one of the officials made some disparaging comment, although albeit not publicly. I happened to hear it. Similarly, as what happened in Parliament recently over the potato. And it's not encouraging about what these people can go back in the bush and all that kind of thing like that. I don't think we have a genuine interest in really salvaging and evolving our processes there. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. We respond to the caller, and that was our final caller for the morning.
I think, yes, there is a connection between our folk songs and calypso. I think one would say it went from folk to calypso, but there's an interplay between them, which we don't see that anymore. Mardi Gras, actually, the place Mardi Gras would have derived from the celebration of Mardi Gras, which is Fat Tuesday, is basically the Tuesday when a lot of carnival activities. So Monday, Old Time Carnival, with the Monday was where you had the Old Mass, and then on Tuesdays when you had the Pretty Mass. Yeah. So that was really Mardi Gras, and it's almost if you think of it in the U.S., there's Mardi Gras in Louisiana and stuff, and again, these are connected in the fact that they come from Catholic populations. Okay. This is where Catholicism and stuff created these carnivals, and if you look, all the original carnivals in the Caribbean were in Catholic countries. Grenada being one of them. Trinidad was Catholic and French, because the French were the Catholics. But there was never original carnivals in Jamaica, Antigua, Barbados, and those. They had different celebrations. For example, crop over in Barbados.
Okay.
Carnival in these places actually developed in the 1950s when Trinidad exported that carnival that originally gone from Grenada and Martinique and those places to Trinidad in the 17 and 1800s.
Okay. All right. We're getting to close, but in one sentence, sir, why must we ensure that traditional mass is never forgotten? In one sentence.
It's part of who we are. It's what makes us Grenadian. Yes. Identity.
Part of our identity, definitely.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank you, gentlemen, once again. I wish we could have gone on more with this program because it's all interesting. The phones are still going, so I know there are listeners and viewers who wants to ask more questions or make more comments towards this, but we're going to take a wrap for today. Thank you both once again. And all success in the event tomorrow. So I hope a lot of folks come out and learn more pertaining to the Moko Jumbi and probably see more participation in this year's carnival just because of this particular outreach you have.
We hope so.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you both once again.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, folks, that's how we're going to wrap today's edition of To The Point. I want to thank all who contributed towards today's program. Thank you so much. That's what we take a wrap for today. Goodbye.